until the money starts flowing all over the NBA and players, perhaps big ones, changing teams. Now, one guy who might not be on the clock here, LeBron James. He'll be eligible to sign an extension August 4th until the end of next year's regular season. If he doesn't, he could be a free agent next summer. So a lot on the line. You know, we talk about all the money that's going to be flowing, but apparently that won't be flowing for LeBron today. What do we know about what's happening with LeBron?
I think he is, from what I understand in checking this out, he is just going to be a spectator for the next 6 weeks and see what the Lakers are able to do. I'm not expecting them to do much. And I also think it's not, even if he doesn't extend his contract, it's not necessarily a vote of no confidence in the Lakers. It's just to leave both his options and the Lakers' options open. They can offer him a $100 million extension over 2 years. That's as far as he can go under the current rules. But the other thing is he can build options into that contract. He can sign for 1 year and then build an option into it. The contract he's in right now, he could have had an option this year, but he elected to structure his contract differently. So he has shown the Lakers he's given them a huge amount of leeway. When he came there, he signed for 4 years. Then he extended his contract with no options in it. I don't think this is, if he doesn't sign it, it's any sort of red flag. But I do think that the fact that it's a real decision and not a no-brainer is something that illustrates where he is with the Lakers.
Yeah, there are the numbers. And the wait-and-see approach is kind of how he's done it his whole career. But I'm sure it's a little scary for Lakers and Lakers fans. So, Tim, what should or could LeBron do?
Well, I mean, we've spent a lot of this show talking about James Harden, his decision to opt out to allow his team to have some more pieces around him, right? The Lakers have hardly any pieces around LeBron James at this point. That's not necessarily LeBron's fault, outside of, you could argue, maybe the Russell Westbrook trade, but they have Anthony Davis, they have LeBron James, they don't have much else. Well, if he doesn't extend and he's a free agent next summer, even if he wants to stay there, let's say he takes a little bit less money like James Harden did, maybe they can add a third max player. Maybe they can add 2 or 3 players in free agency. And then they can have some players around him, because as you look at this graphic, there ain't a lot of key free agents on the Lakers because there weren't a lot of key free agents to be had on a team that won 33 games last year.
Yeah, we don't even know if they can afford Malik Monk.
That's right. They might not be able to keep the one guy on that list you would really want to have. So that just illustrates the situation that the Lakers are in. And to Brian's point, I think the fact that this isn't a no-brainer for LeBron in terms of extending, it's more of a signature to me of how desperate the Lakers are from a talent standpoint than it is about LeBron wanting to be in L.A. He went to L.A. because he wanted to be in L.A. Now this team is in such rough shape talent-wise that he can't necessarily care and commit to staying there right away.
As squeezed as they are right now, when Russell Westbrook comes off their books, that's $47 million off the books. Potentially, if LeBron comes off the books, not necessarily to leave, that's another $40+ million that comes off the books. You take $90 million off the books of the Lakers next year, a lot of things that are not possible today and haven't been possible for the last year, a lot of those avenues reopen. So that's something that LeBron will consider as he approaches it. And LeBron will be the highest earning NBA player in history when he retires. I don't know if he'll stay there, but because of all that money he's earned, he has earned the right to look at his options.
The combination of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and cap space and LA sunshine, that's a pretty appealing combination.
Huge situation for LA, but can they wait that long for that? Let's play Fact or Fiction. Tim, DeJounte Murray makes the Hawks into contenders.
Fiction. We've talked about how good the top of the East is. I don't think the Hawks can crack the top 4 or 5 in the East. That said, I love the combination of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. I think they're going to be really exciting, really good together. But to me, it's just a sign that this is not yesterday's Eastern Conference. To get into that top 4 in the East, you have to be a hell of a team. Hawks still have some work to do for me.
Wendy, the question Knicks fans all want answers to. Will Jalen Brunson make the Knicks contenders?
Fiction.
Are we saying contenders for the play-in tournament or contenders for the playoffs or what?
They were 6 games out of the play-in tournament last season. 6. So if Jalen Brunson helps them win 8 more games, which, by the way, for a single free agent would be amazing, they still would be a play-in team.
Ouch. Tim, fact or fiction? Harden's new deal will allow the Sixers to become favorites in the East.
Now, before the Philly guy jumps on me, I'm going to say fiction, but I'm going to say fiction because, as we have talked about a bunch on this show, the top of the East is very tough, and all of these teams are flawed. And so I don't think I would pick any of them, Milwaukee, Boston, Brooklyn, Philly, to be the favorite. But I think with the moves that Philly's going to be able to make because of Harden opting out, I clearly think they're going to be among the top 4 in the East, and they will be among the favorites. I just can't pick any single favorite, so that is a fiction.
I'll take it. I'll take top 4. I'll take that kind of hope, because that hope didn't exist when everybody thought Harden was going to opt in. So you look at this team now, do they have the pieces in terms of what they're identifying to actually make it to the top? I mean, can they actually get there? I know you're saying they're in the top 4.
Well, let's see what happens over the next few days, right?
Okay.
You know, I know wait and see isn't always the most fun answer, but let's see if they can actually get PJ Tucker like they are going to try to in free agency.
That
in
is,
the playoffs.
well, let's start with could come the regular season, because even in the regular season, it didn't blow anybody away. But Harden's numbers when he played for the Nets before he hurt his hamstring were excellent. They weren't the MVP numbers, but they were excellent. That is not that far away. If he is healthy and in shape and he puts up those numbers, by the way, it was like 28-7 or something like that. That kind of play would make Philly a contender, and that would make their fans very happy.
Wow, we would take that. We would take anywhere near that at this point. But will it happen? Will it happen?
I mean, look, I think James Harden is already working out. He's going to be, I think, probably better than he was last year. I don't know if he's going to be back to MVP level, but I think he's going to be good enough for Philly to get where they want to go.
Wow, and that's a title. So we'll see if it's that good. Now, first,
Get out of the stables. The next couple of days, he will sign the largest contract in the history of the NBA. 2-time defending MVP. How about $250 plus to stay in Denver long term? This is an untalked about story. He's in a medium-sized market. We had never heard one iota of him being anything but thrilled to be there. He is invested there. The Nuggets have a championship window because we got a 2-time MVP who's going to age well.
When he got asked about it, he said, yes, I'm going to sign it. Refreshing to hear. By the way, we go from the most boring superstar in the NBA to the most exciting one, Ja Morant. He is going to get a 5-year, $189 million extension offered him today. He will accept that. The Grizzlies, to me, are my favorite team to watch in the league right now. Ja's my favorite player to watch in the league right now. You watch him every time he goes out on the court, he tries to decapitate people with dunks. This team is going to be a one to watch in the years to come. Very excited to see what's up next for the Grizzlies.
$863 million possibly given out to just those 4
That's
guys.
very good math right there. Look
Yeah,
at
I
that,
did
right
it
on
really
the fly.
fast. Look at that. I'm learning. All right. And by the way, you talk about Josh, second overall pick in 2019. The first overall pick, of course, was Zion Williamson. And Zion now is eligible for a max extension. There's been talk back and forth. Tim, should the Pelicans max out Zion?
I mean, should is an interesting question because you look at him playing 85 games over the past 3 years, and you go, well, how can you pay a guy a max extension when he's barely been on the court? The reason why is because you look at the situation the Pelicans are in, and they're in a small market. Zion is a huge talent, and really their only chance to get to contention with this group they have is for Zion Williamson to get back on the court and be an elite level player for that. So I would expect that at some point over the next few months, we will see Zion and the Pelicans come to some sort of agreement along the lines of your pal Joel Embiid in the Philadelphia 76ers did a few years ago when after he had injuries early in his career, they set up a contract that had some injury protections in it. However, Zion is going to just want his money, and so that's going to probably lead to an interesting negotiation here.
Let me put on my lawyer hat here. Let's discuss the definition of the word max. Because David Griffin, the general manager of the Pelicans, said Zion Williamson is worth a maximum contract. Zion Williamson said, if I'm given a contract extension, I will sign it. So why aren't we talking about Zion Williamson signing today? Because the word max is a flexible term. I think the Pelicans are willing to give Zion a piece of paper that says $189 million on it. But when the fine print is read, they're not going to want to guarantee. I'm not even guessing. David Griffin has said on the record, we're not going to guarantee a full 5-year contract.
But isn't that a huge risk for New Orleans fans who are sitting there saying, if you let Zion go, a possible transcendent talent on the level of LeBron James when he was coming out of school,
Well,
we will
again,
go crazy.
Now let's negotiate the term "let him go." He is under contract for next year, and then he is restricted. If you're Zion Williamson, though, you know that if you were to not sign for this year and you go into the market next year, you know there will be numerous teams that will give you a contract with the word fully guaranteed in it. And so you question yourself if you're Zion, well, if they're not going to fully guarantee me, why should I risk? Why should I take on the risk? Why not just go play another good year and do it? But then you come back and say, well, you only played 85 games over 3 years. Why would you turn down what would probably be, they probably would be willing to guarantee 9 figures. They just won't be willing to guarantee the whole thing. So reasonable people should prevail here. And I expect, if nobody takes an extreme position, this to get done. But this is going to take some negotiation.
Well, to Brian's point, when you say numerous teams will line up with guaranteed max offers, that is if Zion Williamson was actually on the court, right? This comes back to
I think anyway.
Well, maybe, but if he misses an entire season again with injury, I mean, we spent a lot of time this week talking about Ben Simmons, about Kyrie Irving, about Zion Williamson, all guys who have not been on the court. It would be nice to see all of them on the court, including Zion, who is an incredible talent to watch. But again, he needs to get on the court. Well, and that is, again, this is what the negotiation is about.
To your point, Zion wanted to show you that he's on the court because meanwhile on planet Earth, here is Zion on the court showing what he can do. Watch. Just dunking on kids. Now, they, I guess, are maybe teenagers, but look at what he can do.
Okay, so I'm going to stop. So the one time I've seen Zion Williamson on a court this year was in the NBA 75 commercial when he did a dunk and broke the rim, and that was it. So I've now seen him dunk twice like that.
There was videos of him earlier than that.
Yeah, and you can extrapolate, this is what he's going to do in the NBA, right?
Yes, he's going to walk in and just calmly dunk the ball with no competition around him. Yes, that's what's going to happen.